how do you stop co-sleeping if you want to? Hey there, I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell. I'm the creator of the Helping Babies Sleep Method and a consultant. And I'm actually a chiropractor by training, but really found my passion in empowering parents just like you to teach their little ones to sleep and parent confidently day and night. And today we're talking about how do you stop co-sleeping if you found yourself in that position. Now, if you follow me at all, you know that if it works for you, it works for me. Okay, but I frequently deal with parents who are trying to stop co-sleeping, and most of them started co-sleeping more out of desperation than any type of attachment parenting philosophy. I personally come from attachment parenting philosophy. I wanted to co-sleep and baby wear and feed on demand and all that great stuff. There's lots of great things there, but it just didn't work for our family. I found myself having to feed him back to sleep every couple of hours in the night, which is a very common situation for a lot of my co-sleeping parents. So, is co-sleeping a problem? Like I said, if it works for you, great. But a lot of the parents that I work with, it's not even so much the co-sleeping that's the challenge, it's the stuff that goes with the co-sleeping. For example, they co-sleep, but then they have to wake up every couple of hours in the night to either feed their babies back to sleep. It could be breastfeeding or bottle feeding, or they might have to rock them or hug them or just snuggle them in that much more, right? Which is lovely, except that when it happens every 2 hours, your child and you wake up feeling tired for the day because all those frequent wake-ups really impacts the quality of your nighttime sleep, not to mention cutting down on the quantity. So how do you stop co-sleeping? Well, it goes back to the 5 pillars of the Helping Baby Sleep Method. Let's walk through those one by one and give you a couple actionables here at the end to follow. Okay. The first thing is understanding that sleep really is a learned habit, okay? If you think about yourself, if I said to you tonight, you know what, you can't sleep in your favorite position and I'm going to take away your pillow, gosh, wouldn't that be uncomfortable for you? Yes, it would. You would toss and turn and be frustrated, but then you would learn a new way of falling asleep. And the same thing applies to all of our kiddos. Most of them have some sort of a sleep crutch. Could be co-sleeping, it could be feeding to sleep, it could be being rocked back to sleep, it could even be the pacifier. That'll do it. Okay, so sleep really is a learned habit, and yes, you're going to go through some frustration for your child when you change the way that they've known to fall asleep all these months, maybe even years. Second thing is timing of sleep. So a lot of the co-sleeping families that I work with, what we find when we get them to log their activity is that their bedtimes are too late. And when your child is a little bit overtired, it's actually harder for them to settle and then stay asleep. So timing is super important. I'm going to add in a sleep summary chart in the comments here below where you can click to download the timing awake times by age. So for example, like an 18-month-old who's on one nap really can't stay awake more than 4 to 5 hours after nap. So if they woke up at, let's say, 3 o'clock, yeah, we want them back asleep between 7 and 8 p.m. Surpassing that time increases your chances of the night waking. So action step number 1 is focus on timing of sleep. Just keeping your kiddo in those age-appropriate awake windows from the sleep summary by age chart that you can download, that can help decrease your night waking and your chance of 5 a.m. wake-ups, okay? The third pillar is intentional feeding. So are you using the breast or the bottle for fuel rather than to soothe? Okay, and this can be a hard one to change up. But during the daytime, are you letting your child feed on demand anytime? Because you can expect that then they will want to do that or expect to do that in the middle of the night. Okay, so are you an intentional feeder? So with some of the 2-year-olds, the older kids who have a bit more cognitive capacity, we actually set a timer on mom's phone as to when feeding time is happening. Makes it a third party. I know it sounds totally unnatural. Yes, and I get that, but if you're watching this video, you need some actionable steps, and these are things that can help you, okay? So setting the timer or putting them on a feeding window, saying, okay, my 1-year-old really only needs to breastfeed every 4 hours during the day. So I'm going to do that during the day, and maybe I'll start doing that at night. This eliminates what I call the snacking cycle. Okay, when your child's allowed to nurse, and this is true for any age, they're allowed to nurse or even bottle feed every couple of hours during the day, they're going to do that in the night because it's hard to get all their caloric intake in during the day because they take these very small feeds because they're actually not really very hungry when they go to eat. Okay, intentional feeding, be an intentional feeder. And that would be action step number 2 for you to work on right now is can you start consolidating your feeds if you're feeding a lot in the night or the daytime, trying to make them longer and less frequent. fourth pillar of the helping baby sleep method is messaging and being consistent. So if sometimes my baby's waking up and I'm putting the pacifier back in, sometimes I'm rocking them, that's going to give different messages about how sleep happens. So when you're finally ready to really work on this, how can you make it as easy for your child to learn as possible by being really consistent and deliver the same message about sleep? That essentially is getting you into the sleep teaching, or that's what I call it. Sleep training sounds like too harsh, right? Sleep teaching, it's a skill that needs to be taught. The fifth pillar of the helping baby sleep method is responding, either acknowledging or attending. So if I take away that known way of falling asleep, how do I offer comfort to the tears of frustration that are for sure going to come, right? And there's different ways that you can do that. That's what you really think of when you think of sleep training, is how do you respond? Do I put them in the crib? Do I sit by the crib? Do I leave the room? Am I coming over intermittently? I'll give you one quick case study. A family that I worked with a 9-month-old that nursed frequently through the nighttime and was used to a lot of physical attention, being so close. So we put a crib at the end of the bed because we decided that trying not to nurse her in the same space that she's so used to was too hard for her. It's so tempting to be so close to mama and not be able to nurse and be in that same environment that she's been in for how many months now. So we put her in the crib at the end of the bed and had a parent lie beside her, offering her physical comfort with touch and verbal reassurance with voice through the crib slats. And she did really, really well. So your action number one, let's recap here. Your action number one was to work on the timing of sleep. So download the sleep chart and figure out, am I putting my kiddo down too early, because that's a risk too, or too late, which is more common. Okay. Then the second thing you can work on is, if you're feeding to sleep at all, can you be consolidating your sleep? If you're in the snacking cycle, offering frequent foods throughout the night and the day, can you start consolidating on those? And then if you're looking for step-by instruction on how to break these crutches, or you want accountability and support, you can come check out our online school and group coaching program, helpingbabysleepschool.com, where we always take your questions and help you through this parenting journey. Okay, and don't forget to hit subscribe to never miss a sleep tip about babies and toddlers.